NHL-slutspelet närmar sig och vi är på plats i New York Islanders hemmaarena Nassau Coliseum för matchen mot Toronto. Jag står här med Chris Johnston på Sportsnet som är deras insider och vi ska prata lite grann om saker och ting kring Toronto och kring svenskarna där och vi ska börja med Nylanders. So first off, let's talk about William and the season he's having. He's getting close to 30 points now after 50 games.
Yeah, and I think the key thing for William is that the Leafs are very happy with him. And you know, it was such a difficult start to the season, not having his contract worked out. When he came back and started playing, I think he was even surprised maybe at how tough it was, how it took him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But, you know, as we got into March and he started playing again with Austin Matthews on the same line, Mike Babcock's been much happier with his performance. And, you know, I know that there's a feeling inside the Leafs that he's ready for a big playoffs, and you know that's one thing. You know, he and Matthews last year against Boston in the first round struggled a little bit, but now after this long sort of process to get here, I get the feeling that Williams feeling more confident, and certainly the team believes he's in a position now to have a big playoff series for them coming up.
And another Swede that's been doing really well this year is Andreas Johnson, of course. What have you been seeing from him this year?
Well, I think a pleasant surprise, and you know, it's not to say that they didn't have hopes for him, but you know, we only saw him in a few NHL games last season. He had a great playoffs and won a Calder Cup and the MVP with the Toronto Marlies, but the guy doesn't always take the next step right away, and the fact that, you know, we're here now at the end of his first season and he's playing with Matthews and Nylander. You know, I know that Austin in particular really likes playing with Andreas Johnson, always talks about, despite the fact he's not the biggest guy, he likes going into the corners and winning back the puck and getting it to Matthews. And so I think the Leafs are thrilled with him. I mean, the biggest question for him is what does the contract look like, because he's playing out the final season of his deal right now, and the Leafs have some salary cap issues, but you know, speaking just of the player, you know, this is someone the Leafs are thrilled that they found in the 7th round all those years ago, and you know, I think that they're happy, very happy with his first year in the league.
And we have Calle Roséns, of course, playing his first game today, this year, and further down in the system we have both Rasmus Sandin and of course Timothy Liljegren, two interesting defensemen, Swedish defensemen. What do you think about the future for those two guys?
I think the Leafs only draft out of Sweden now, it seems, because they have so many young Swedish players and prospects. I can say for sure with Rasmus Sandin that there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm on the Leafs end of things about his future. I mean, he's had such a good year with the Marlies, playing in that league at an age most defensemen don't. Timothy Liljegren did it last season, but you know, it's pretty rare to have 18 or 19-year-old defensemen in that league. And so there's a feeling with some turnover that's going to happen within this team that I think Rasmus Sandin could be a Leaf next year. I mean, who knows for sure? There's not an exact perfect step all the time for everyone, but you know, they're thrilled with how he's done. I think there'll be an opportunity as well for Liljegren. The Leafs don't have many right-handed shot defensemen. It's something he does. You know, as for Calle Roséns, he'll definitely be part of the Leafs next year. They've already signed him to a 2-year extension on an NHL-only contract. I think they see him more as a depth type of player, whereas especially for Sandin, you know, could eventually be a top defenseman for this team. But they've really liked where his game has come, and you know, there's a reason to keep drafting all these Swedes. They all seem to be pretty darn good, and you know, that's been a consistent thing just because of the development model you guys have at home.
There's a few games left now of the regular season. We're going into the playoffs. It looks like Toronto is going to play against Boston this year again. They lost Game 7 first round last year. What do you think about the team's chances this year?
I think they have a shot. You know, it's interesting. If you go around Toronto right now, you have trouble finding a fan that thinks that. I mean, because the Bruins beat the Leafs way back in 2013 in Game 7. They beat them last year in Game 7. They've had a great year this year. I mean, there's no debating that. So there's maybe a little bit of concern, I would say, in the fan base about the matchup. But the way I look at it is they've added John Tavares to Toronto, and they didn't have him last year. You know, two of the centers they played in that series, Dominic Moore and Thomas Plekanec, they're not in the NHL anymore. So the Leafs, to me, have gotten better. And I think that it's going to be very close again. It's probably the series that people most want to see, just given the history of the teams. And you know, I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I wouldn't be that surprised either if we saw the Leafs move on and take another step, and then they probably face Tampa, where, let's face it, it would be a real uphill battle at that point.